everybody, and welcome back to Break Time Conversations, a YouTube channel where I have conversations around education. I have been a teacher all my life, and education fascinates me. Along my journey, I have met so many interesting and inspiring people, and so I decided to document my conversations with them here so that you too can hear their stories and the amazing work that they do. Today, I'm here with Pranuthi Sathyadas. She's an old friend and she is not in the field of education, but she has done something that I find so heroic. She has homeschooled and continues to homeschool three of her kids. And Pranuthi, I just want to say right from the start that is something that I would never be able to do. So that's why you're a total hero in my eyes. So she's a homeschooling mother and a homeschooling consultant. So, Pranuthi, I would like to first start off this conversation by asking you, what made you start homeschooling your kids?
Hi, Anupa. Nice to have this little chat with you. Yes, so why did I start homeschooling the kids? This is a story that's about 10 years old. And at that point, my kids were in grade 4, grade 1, and the youngest was still a baby. At that time, we were just kind of considering this option for about 2 years before that. What are the pros? What are the cons? But finally, what made us take this decision is two things. One is that we can focus on the strengths of our kids, which may not necessarily be academic. So the school might not be able to provide it. So that is the first reason, focus on the strengths of the child. And the second is having three kids, and the youngest went through some medical issue at that point where he was in the hospital and stuff. That made me realize that I just want my three kids to spend as much time with each other as they can. So these were the two motivating factors that made us start homeschooling.
Wow, nice. So yeah, I'm sure there are lots of pros and cons. So the one thing that has always been a question for me is, if kids don't go to school, they say that, they may not have enough interaction with other kids, or, having to deal with bullies, or, the various challenges which kind of mold their character. So could you maybe tell us more about that? Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think the biggest question is, what parents have in mind is, what about their social needs, their social interaction? So what I say to that is that we need to build that. So one is through extracurricular activities. So the boys are into football, and then my daughter's into music and dance and things like that. So through that, social interaction came. And so the thing is, they are not deprived of social interaction, but it's more that we choose that particular circle. Unlike in a school where it is automatically provided, and we have no choice as a parent but to let them interact there. Yeah, so I don't know, does that answer your question?
Yeah, most definitely. But so it does kind of require a little more work on your side, right?
Yes, yeah. Initially to set up the foundation, then it flows.
It flows, yeah. Another thing that I feel like I would always struggle with is, kind of setting that routine, sticking to it, because sometimes I feel like when we're all at home, we don't, do that. So have you ever struggled with that? And if you did struggle with it, how did you handle it?
Yes, initially it was like very stressful to maintain that word timetable. Because every other day it would change, because as you said, it's a house, right? So the rules keep changing, and then you keep reformatting, and then you keep comparing with other homeschooling families. But I think the secret is to ultimately relax a little bit and fall into your own routine. So I know homeschooling families where the father works night shifts. So this entire family shifted their routine accordingly. So they would actually start studying late evening and through the night. So then the whole day they would be resting, it works for them. So yes, initially, like if you're not like so stringent about the timetable, you just allow it to kind of fall into place, and then it forms a rhythm based on how your family functions.
That's nice. I think so. Don't compare and just try to find your
Yes.
own rhythm. That's wonderful. So, Pranuthi, actually, I should say that your family is the first family that I know personally who actually started homeschooling. And so,
Oh,
in those days, I know that it was like a huge step. And now I hear more of it happening. So, at that time, did people look at you and think that you're crazy? Or were you able to find and build your circle of homeschoolers easily?
yeah. Those days it was like really irritating and difficult to explain to everyone what homeschooling was, because they'll be like, where do your kids study? And I'm like, they're homeschooled. They're like, oh, where is that school? Can we look at that school? And things like that. So yeah, those days it was a bit difficult to explain the concept. People would come up to me and say, why are you doing this? You're educated, you can go work and earn for your family. Why are you depriving your children of education? And things like that. But yes, as you said, especially over the last 2 years with the pandemic, people have come to appreciate this concept actually of homeschooling. So some of the homeschooling moms were discussing earlier the way they would look at homeschooling moms, and now is so different because they've all experienced a certain aspect of it, having the kids at home under the roof.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I think it's
yeah.
becoming more familiar now,
Yes,
the concept.
absolutely. Like I said, now it's become a very common thing, and I know so many people who are
Hmm.
homeschooling their kids. So that's amazing. And you guys are like the pioneers here in Bangalore, I think. So, Pranati, tell us a little more about your consultancy that you started.
Okay, so as I said, for the last 10 years, I've been, just speaking to parents. Whenever they have questions, I answered it. But then a few people kind of pushed me to take this slightly more professional and formal step with the entry of COVID, that because so many people were moving into it. So I said, okay, let me start something where I can handhold a parent in especially the initial stages of homeschooling, because a lot of parents want to do it but have no idea how. And their first question is, can I do it? So even to just take them through that first step of, yes, you can, and then how, and then the trials and errors that we faced as early homeschooling parents. I just wanted to eliminate that step for parents. So that is why the consultancy got formed. And so what I do is I just kind of design the curriculum for the parent and administer it weekly, So then they have a plan to follow for the week, and the child is accountable to kind of finish that amount of work. And so the parent knows, the child knows, and I know that it's moving in a particular pace and on a particular track. So that's the aim of the consultancy, Anupa.
Oh, lovely. It's so nice that you can use your experience and help others. That's really, really nice. Before we end this conversation, Pranati, any word of advice that you can give to anyone who's considering homeschooling out there? Something?
The first, the first thing is, yes, you can do it. I am sure that's your biggest question. You need not be from an educating background. You need not be a teacher, things like that. But if you do have that heart to do it because of something specific, either you're not happy with the school, either the child has some kind of issues with certain subjects, whatever the reason may be. And now a huge market that I see are homeschooling families that are coming to start homeschooling because the children are into sports more professionally. So they have training like morning, evening, and things like that, and they need to like just fit education according to their schedule, and not the other way around. Usually education is like for about 6-7 hours and sports is for 1 hour. Here it's the reverse. So for whatever reason it may be, yes, it is possible to homeschool. Indian colleges are open to the concept of taking open schoolers. So that's another big question answered. You don't have to worry. My daughter has got into a good college, probably one of the best colleges in Bangalore, St. Joseph's, after homeschooling up to grade 12. So there are other homeschooling families where the boy has got into IIT, has got into VIT. So you don't have to worry about that. And yes, people like me are there to help you to form the curriculum and to keep you on track. So yes, if you are considering it, take a bold step. All the best.
Thanks, Pranuthi. That's a wonderful words of advice to all those parents out there. And it has been amazing to see. I see what your kids are doing on Facebook. You keep sharing updates, and it's so encouraging to see that homeschooling doesn't mean that they won't do what every other child is doing, right? So thank you again for sharing your insights. Thank you for being here, and lots of love, and hope to catch up with you again soon.